I'm hoping for you and I'm praying for you. Fingers crossed. Stay strong, my friends. Stay strong. Then next we want to talk about, I thought what was funny, which was hilarious, is this weird beef that's been going on with Ariel Helwani and flipping Brendan Schaub. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what started it. I'm not sure if there's something else going on behind the scene that we don't really actually know about. But regardless, there was this clip that was posted on the Fire and the Kids subreddit. Again, the best subreddit in the world. If you're not subscribed over there already, get in tune. Join the homeless cats over there. PF Chang's for life. It's Dicey Baba, all that good stuff. One of the best subreddits. And they posted this clip from the Fight Companions that Brendan Schaub does now, I guess because he's taken over the Fight Companions from Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan supposedly said he's too busy to do them, which I don't really buy. I just think he didn't want to do them with Brian Callen because he got accused of rape, right? That's just probably, when you just sign a deal with Spotify and you got $100 million in the bank, the last thing you want to do is is sit down with somebody that's been accused of the R word. You know what I mean? You don't want to do that. And of course, he probably knew that more likely than not doing those kind of shows would bring too much negative attention to him. I'm sure the stipulations of that contract and the payments maybe put in place some things, some trigger points. If you hit those, then maybe it might void the contract. I don't know. But regardless, he doesn't do Fight Companion anymore. Brendan's doing it now. And he did a Fight Companion the other day, I think, for the Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley fight. And I guess somewhere along the footage, Ariel Helwani's face came up. And this was Brendan Schaub's reaction to it, which kind of led you to believe that there's definitely a problem that they have with each other, or maybe that Brendan has with him. Who knows which way around it is. But this is the clip which kind of set the entire thing off in general. So let's play Brendan Schaub kind of reacting to the mere mention of Ariel Helwani's name and the Fight Companion show they did the other day.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a dog, man.
Oh, hey, so I see Ariel's there.
Yeah.
How's that going over?
And I'm here.
No. But how's that?
How do you think he got the job?
but how's that going over?
I didn't want to do it.
Jesus Christ.
God bless them. I don't know. Showtime does their thing. I do my thing, man.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'll sleep in my bed
Chat's going.
tonight. I'm with you guys.
Rampage,
Those
you
boys
like
are in
Ariel.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
What a bizarre way to answer a question that had nothing to do with him. Again, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not balls deep in MMA. I'm not balls deep in journalists and stuff. I know a couple. I'm not that knowledgeable in that kind of stuff. But from what I understand, Ariel Helwani recently left ESPN, right? It was under some dubious circumstances. No one really knows why exactly happened. Then he left and he announced all these amazing projects he was launching, a Substack. He was doing a million shows. Like, he was getting to the bag, and Ariel Helwani is getting to the fucking bag. So big up him. But there was obviously something happened with ESPN, because no one walks away from such a prestigious sports networking company for the most part, right? It's a job for life. They pay well, whatever. Cool. So it felt like to me, Josh Thompson was asking, oh, what's going on with Ariel Helwani? How's that going over? More so because he's now obviously being the main kind of anchor guy for Showtime, who's a rival to ESPN, as opposed to Brendan thinking Josh is asking him about Ariel because of whatever's going on with them. He was asking, well, how's that going over with him and the ESPN guys? Not how's it going over with you. Do you know what I mean? Or did I catch it wrong? Let's play it one more time.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a dog, man.
Oh, hey, so I see Ariel's there.
Yeah.
How's that going over?
And I'm here.
No.
And I'm here. It's like, yeah, no. He's not talking about you. He's about to say, no, I'm not being you. I mean, how's it going over with the people at ESPN, the ESPN brass? Like, how's it going with them? How do you think they see that? Do they see it as a spit in the face? Do they wish him well? Like, is that him kind of thumbing his nose at the network? What's going on? That's what he's basically saying. He's not saying, oh, how do you feel about it, Brendan? Right? But he's so wound up about it that he jumps in and says that.
No. But how's that?
How do you think he got the job?
but how's that going
I didn't
over?
want to do it. God bless them. I don't know. Showtime does their thing. I do my thing, man.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'll sleep in my
Chat's
bed
going.
tonight. I'm with you guys.
Rampage, you
Those
like
boys are in
Ariel.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, only from the Fire and the Kids subreddit I know this. So allegedly, and they've all been right. They've been right with some of their takes and some of their guesses and estimations from a while back, and it's been amazing to see. So I remember back in the day, or maybe a few months ago, some people on the Fire and the Kids subreddit were hypothesizing or theorizing that allegedly Brendan's time at Showtime was coming to an end. I don't know why it was, what triggered them, or what kind of sparked their interest, but a lot of them were like, nah, something's not right here. And I think at that time he might have been mentioning that he was going through negotiations. I don't know what happened. Then, of course, somewhere out the blue, he then announces he's launching this Thick Boy Studios thing. He buys or rents out this massive studio. He's going to do these other shows. And it feels like he's sort of slowly but surely transitioning his audience from Showtime, Brendan Shaw, below the belt, to like Thick Boy Studios, this sort of like kind of lifestyle-y, fight companion thing that he's doing. It's like a purposeful thing, because you'd think if this show was such a great idea and it was a great piece of content that you could obviously get some eyes onto the network, why wouldn't Showtime just want to bring it in-house? Why wouldn't they say, hey, that show that you're doing, that Fight Companion, just bring it over here? Why are you doing it on your own? Let's put some money behind it, some production, and get it kind of ramped up. But we like what you're doing. We like you as a talent. Let's just keep you in-house. Let's not have you do your own thing on YouTube, right? That would be the natural conclusion. So that was what you kind of thought. And then at the same time, Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell, BC, big up him, this real CEO of the place. He, if I'm not mistaken, I think those two guys, were starting to get more responsibilities, more airtime on Showtime in general, right? Especially when it comes to boxing, especially when it comes to MMA. And then, of course, Ariel Helwani leaves ESPN, and then he quickly announces he's launching all these 1,000 different projects that he's got, securing the bag, and then he ends up at Showtime for this Logan Paul and this Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley fight. He does well. Everyone really impressed with how he kind of carries himself. He asks great questions. He does a great face-to-face, and just kind of gets a lot of kind of positive reaffirmation on social. And it feels like, especially with the lack of coverage we see of Brendan at that one and the fight before, I forgot which one it was, but the one with BC and Luke, and Brendan Shaw wasn't around on that one either. It felt like the theories that the Fire and the Kid were basically hypothesizing were coming true, right? They were definitely coming true. It felt like slowly but surely Showtime were either pushing Brendan away to the side, or he was purposely stepping aside in order to allow those guys to shine. Who knows what way you interpret it. So then that happened. And then, if I'm not mistaken, what was it? Yeah, so that was one thing that they theorized. And then there was a couple of jabs here and there that he'd throw about, Ariel, not being liked by the UFC, and it felt like he was oddly defending flipping Dana White, who used to kind of hate. So there's some strange things happening behind the scenes, but it does seem like they were definitely on the money. Anyway, it seems like this clip got to Ariel Helwani somehow, and he then decided to reply back to what Brendan Shaw was basically insinuating on his show by saying the following thing when he started it. I think it's a pretty good way to kind of open your show, personally. So let's just leave it small so it doesn't mess up my computer. Let's just play this. Bear with me 1 second. Bish Bash Bosh, yes, let's play this now.
1,000%. And while we're talking about lies, Brendan went on his show and talked about me being a nightmare to work with, me being a bad teammate. He's heard from a million of different people that I'm the worst to work with. Talk to my colleagues. Talk to my friends if that's the truth. Talk to the production team if that's the truth. I've worked very hard to try and be the best teammate and colleague possible to help people out along the way. And so again, talk about me being a bad journalist all you want. Bad show all you want. But don't talk about what's inside here. Don't question the kind of person that I am. Try to take me down because you may be jealous or because you have some other bizarre reason for talking about me as a person when you don't even know me. I don't go personal. I don't talk about you like that. I have nothing to do with you. Leave my name out of your mouth, especially when you want to lie about me. You want to talk about my show being great? You want to talk about me being the 10-time journalist of the year? All you want. But don't lie about me. Don't talk about how you gave me gigs, that I should be thanking you. Don't lie, because I will come after you. I will respond. And so I did get a text from him this morning, and I said, I appreciate it, but now do it on your show.
Okay, cool, nice.
It's very easy to apologize privately. Be a man and do it on the air.
Nice,
For
Ariel.
the lies about 199, for the lies about me being a bad teammate, for the lies about the Jake Paul fight, be a man, stop lying, stop making up stories, and apologize on the air. And he said he would, and I'm looking forward to that. Stop talking about me, because those guys have been doing it for a long time, and I know what it's rooted in. But High Road Helwani ain't no more. You're looking at the Helwani era. All right, this is independent Helwani.
Okay, that's a bit cringe, but that's good, isn't it? That's a good thing, I guess. Resolution wise, that Brendan did reach out and apologize because he did look a bit terrible. But I wonder what goes through someone's head. Imagine if that's true. Imagine if he was told on his end. No, because let's pass this through. Most probably what happened, because from what we saw on that first clip, Brendan basically insinuated that the only reason why Ariel got the job at Showtime, covering, boxing, wherever it may be, is because Brendan didn't want to do it. Cool. It wouldn't surprise me because Hollywood is flipping horrendous, right? And agents and managers are always trying to, blow smoke up their clients' asses. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody in Brendan Schaub's team told him that they got word directly from Showtime that they wanted him to do that show or whatever. He said no for whatever reason, because he feels uncomfortable, because he doesn't feel, valued. I don't know, whatever. And then he was also told, on certain terms, that if he doesn't do the show, that they're going to get Ariel to do it instead. I wouldn't surprise me if they told him that just so he can feel good, and because that those managers and agents, essentially Schaub is their client, they don't want him to throw a fit and do a Chris Benoit or anything, right? So they definitely want to keep him sweet. So they tell him that, and then he goes, and you're not meant to tell other people that. You're meant to maybe tell your friends to make yourself feel good too when you're talking to your friends, and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing here at home? I thought you were meant to be at the fight." And you say, "Oh yeah, I can't." In it, I kind of stepped away because I got another project, and plus I wanted to give Ariel a chance. That's what you're meant to do. You're not meant to just go around and tell everybody about it, because clearly it's going to be a lie that can easily be kind of picked apart. That's one thing. But again, you have to give the guy credit for being man enough to be like, you know what, I messed up, hands up, I'm going to apologize. So it'll be interesting to see how he does apologize in his show, whether it's a kind of backhanded apology or if it's an actual earnest, like, hey, I messed up, I got the wrong piece of information. You didn't actually say that thing that I heard that you definitely did say on your show, and I'm going to try and make amends. And then let's play the last clip, I think, which is Ariel talking on the show with, who's he talking on the show with? He's talking on the show with Aljamain Sterling, actually. Yeah, let's talk about this. This is a pretty good one because he gets really ramped up here, and you can see how negatively all this kind of bad press of him being I would say, all the leaks that he kind of get accused of, I think it mainly, all those rumors and him being a bad teammate mostly came from, was it what's his face? Dana White, innit? Dana White basically kind of started that thing of people hating Ariel, and maybe he kind of played into it too with his personality and how he goes about winding up fighters and being a little bit of a shit stirrer. But he does seem to be really annoyed here in this clip at Aljamain Sterling. You can see it's kind of starting to get to him because he doesn't want people to think he's a bad dude. I think it's all well and good people thinking you're a bit devious and being a bit conniving and trying to work an angle to make something happen, but you don't want people to think you're a bad actor. You know what I mean? That's probably the worst thing. So this is Ariel Helwani talking to Aljamain Sterling on his show, and he kind of sets the record straight once and for all.
I know for a fact.
Well, Ariel,
Pick up
it
the
might
homeless
be
cats.
deserved on your end.
Oh, really? How so, Aljo? How so?
No,
Do tell.
From how I hear the story,
Oh,
like the breaking the news stuff. I don't know.
let's go. Let's go.
I don't know the whole details.
Who's your
so I don't wanna
source?
speak on it.
Brendan Schaub? Who's your source?
Well, I just heard it from Joe Rogan talking about.
Oh, Joe Rogan. Okay. Let me say once. Can I clear the air for the 50th time about that one? What Joe Rogan has spewed is 1,000% false. What Brendan Schaub has then parroted is 1,000% false. Rogan's source is Dana White. Brendan's source is Joe Rogan. I think you know me long enough. I think Iaquinta and Ray and Chris and everyone on the team know me long enough, regardless of anyone else you want to talk. If someone tells me something off the record, and I'm sure you've told me things off the record, if I go out and report it, I should be done. There is no way that I would practice that kind of journalism and still be here 13 years later. If you tell me something in confidence and I report it, I should never be talked to again. I should be outlawed. I should be banned from covering the sport, any promotion. That never happened, the story that Rogan told. That never happened, the story that Brendan talked about a couple of weeks ago. 1,000% false. And in fact, it's very damaging to my reputation because that's the kind of stuff that a hack journalist does. I'm not a hack journalist. I got that the same way I get any piece of news.
Come on, Ariel. You're a bit hacky, my friend. It's all right, though. You know what I mean? You lean into it. You've used it to your advantage. If anything, this evolution of Ariel has been pretty awesome to see, right, over the years, and how he's kind of turned into this guy. And if anything, it's been interesting also to see that fans are starting to like him again. He was quite, I won't say hated, but people tended to kind of tolerate Ariel. Now it seems like he's got an actual real fandom. People, you know, like love the guy and want to see him do well, which is great for most content creators to get that sort of, you know, kind of adulation online is definitely more beneficial than kind of being despised and derided like a DSP or whatever. But, you know, let's be honest, you are a bit of a hack, dude. It is what it is.
Confirmed it with sources. Not a single person ever told me, don't report this. We brought you in a corner. That whole BS story that Rogan spewed and has somehow been like regurgitated and recycled is a lie. It almost makes me wonder what other things Rogan is lying about on his show, but that's a different story for a different day. All I'm saying is that's 100% lie and very irresponsible for a guy like that with a platform like that to talk about me like that without knowing that side of the story. The only reason why he
That's the one thing as well with Rogan to touch upon that I've never really understood. Rogan's the kind of guy that was, you know, he got on stage and basically ripped, what's his name? Carlos Mencia, a new one for stealing jokes. He's very, you know, stern on that. He wants, you know, comedians to get paid fairly. He puts comedians, crappy ones, on his show just so he can give them a look, so they can boost their platform. You know, maybe get their booking fees increased, maybe showcase their skills on there. He's a really good guy in that way, right? He gives back in that way. But for whatever reason, when it comes to the fighter pay with the UFC and how diabolically bad Dana treats his fighters, the fact that he picks fights, the fact that he's got favorites, the fact that he manipulates them, gaslights them, and puts them in a position where essentially they're fighting against each other. They're fighting each other in order to earn a decent wage. It's just horrendous. Just the other week, who was that female fighter who was talking about she was, you know, overdrawn in her account by like $40 or something, and most of the money was going to go pay for coaches anyway, but she was just happy to get some cash in her pocket. Insane stuff, right? These guys and girls are risking life and limb going into an octagon to go and face somebody in their underwear where they might die, and they're getting paid like 30 grand when they got most of it has to go to taxes and pay coaches. But Joe Rogan doesn't have a word to say about it. Zilch. He keeps his mouth completely shut. But then other things he just rabbits and talks about willy-nilly with no regard whatsoever. It's just one of the things that's always blown my mind, how somebody can be opposed to Carlos Mencia but then also be best friends with Dana White. It doesn't compute in my head. It really doesn't.
He told that story was because Dana White was trying to justify the stupid banning, and then they went out and tried to make me out to be the bad guy. So that's a lie. Produce another story where I did that, you ain't gonna find one. So I just want to say nothing is justified in terms of my situation. That never happened. Don't listen to those guys. You feel me?
No, I hear you. Well, I will say in Rogan's defense, I'm pretty sure he does clarify, like, this is what I heard. And
Yeah,
if this
guess what? That's a stupid fucking reason to say a story when you're talking about someone's career, right?
Exactly.
This is what I heard. This guy went out irresponsibly and is dealing with the repercussions. No. Find out the truth and then come talk about it. I'm sorry I get fired up about it, but you can understand as someone who has dealt with the repercussions of people speaking irresponsibly on your behalf, it's a stupid freaking reason. And Brendan, for regurgitating it 5 years later, I've had my own issues with him. In fact, I'll break some news. He just reached out to me this morning, Brendan, and apologized to me for regurgitating false lies, that's redundant, about me. And I said, thanks for reaching out, Brendan. I look forward to you doing it on the air the same way you said lies about me. You should probably go on the air and apologize and rectify. So I wait for that day. Until then, God bless.
And again, you can't blame the guy, innit? Big up Ariel Helwani. It looks like he dunked on Brendan and he won that back and forth. I just don't understand why they've even got an issue. Again, most of it seems to me, stems from the fact that Brendan looks like his time at Showtime's coming to an end for whatever reason. Again, if you were being fair to the guy, just to be fair, it is a pretty good gig. I'd assume most of these production company network TV deals, or is that what they're called? Production companies, whatever they're called, right? They're a network, right? It's a TV network or whatever, a sports organization, whatever Showtime is. I'd assume they pay fairly well. I'd assume you might get a flat rate. You might get paid per show, but it's a fairly decent wage, enough for you to probably hire a couple videographers to get a studio, to have a new wardrobe. Maybe you have a budget for wardrobe. Like, it's a fairly lucrative position. You could use that clout and that notoriety and name to kind of leverage other deals. I'm sure that thing works well in your career, for sure. So it is Brendan has a good reason to be a little bit pissed off and annoyed why he doesn't have that gig, for sure. Don't get me wrong. But let's call a spade a spade. He has to be honest too and look himself in the mirror. The guy does zero prep for his, below the belt show. He basically turns up and reads stuff on Wikipedia, reads fight cards off of Wikipedia. Chin throws up some news from him from MMAfighting.com or whatever, the hot news topics. He doesn't really research them or read about them from other sources beforehand. Doesn't really form a, cohesive hot take or whatever that can maybe, get some traffic or maybe stir some conversation, just regurgitate what everyone else is saying. Sometimes he might, do the opposite thing. But for the most part, that show is probably one of his most low effort shows, and he probably gets paid the most to do it. I'll assume. Let's say. Maybe because of Fighting the Kid, he owns it more, but in terms of someone paying you a salary, he gets paid more to do it, even though he does it only twice a week or once. I don't know how often he does below the belt, and it's low effort. So for him to assume that he was going to keep that gig for a long time just because your Brendan Schaub is idiotic. I think if anything, he should have just done the job, banked the money, and just rid it out until the wheels fell off. But he's kind of he felt maybe a little bit entitled, maybe because he was one of the first people. It felt like celebrity kind of talking heads, combat sports people to go on Showtime. He kind of maybe gave him some legitimacy. I don't really know what he feels like in his head, but I just don't get the jealousy of it, because they're not even in the same league, innit? Because Brennan will never do what Ariel does because it requires too much work, or what Luke and Thomas and BC do because it requires too much work. He kind of likes being the kind of laid back, talking in a bar about the UFC kind of thing. He kind of loves it. So he should just let those guys do whatever they're doing. And if Showtime want to take it in this direction because they don't like the celebrity flashy guy thing anymore, then cool. If they want the dork journalists to do the shows, then let them do it. Because I don't know about you guys, but I thought Ariel Helwani did a pretty good job at that, Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley face to face. But yeah, I thought that was pretty amazing. Let's see if Brendan Schaub ends up apologizing on the show, as Ariel hopes he will. He'll probably throw in a couple of jabs here and there because why not? And this bring will probably rumble on. Maybe Joe Rogan will apologize to him as well in the future. We never know. But yeah, let's move into the chat. Let's see what